Well, hello everybody, it's Ms. Sanchez. We are here on a Talk About It Tuesday topic and something that's near and dear to my heart that I hope that you and your family members will talk about this week. This segment is going to have some tips for parents, just as much for you guys, but conversations that we can start around the topic of happiness. Like, what causes us to feel happy? So if you just reflect on that for a moment, some things might come to your mind. A lot of people will think, well, gosh, if I get good grades, or if I improve something about my looks, I'll be happier. Or if I get this certain thing that I've been wanting for a really long time, some kind of tangible thing that I can have that I buy at the store. For some people, it might be finding true love. That's what's going to make me happy, or making a lot of money. But what research has found is that none of those things actually increase our happiness long term. They may be things that temporarily improve our happiness, but they don't do any long-term happiness, and which is surprising for most of us because it's what we think we want, and even our brain tells us we want these things. So for our discussion this week, I'd love for you guys to talk about these other things that do generate happiness and how you can increase some of these things, and most of them don't cost a thing, and do that shift from those tangibles or those things that we think are going to make us happy to the stuff that really works. So what is it that makes us happier as just people in general? Well, number one, connections, our social connections with people, which has been limited in some ways, but hopefully we've been finding new ways to connect with one another. The second thing is kindness and gratitude. When we do kind acts for other people or do things out of service because we want to, not because we're forced to, that is another way that we boost our happiness. And there's a little piece of that too, of where you go back and you savor that moment. You remember what it was that felt so good to give to somebody else, or when somebody had been kind towards you, kind of being present in that moment, thinking about it, reflecting on it, it actually elevates our happiness inside. There is another concept of time affluence. Now, for kids, that's not going to make a lot of sense, but affluence is kind of like being wealthy or rich in something. So this is the concept of having a lot of time to do the things we want to. Because we've slowed down in society a little bit, maybe we're experiencing a little more time. And how are we using that time? Are we doing the things that we want to with that time? That's a good thing to talk about, because we can get caught in doing something that's not very productive, or maybe that's exactly what we need to be doing, is doing something just for the pure enjoyment of it. But have a discussion. Another thing is being very present. And I know I talk a lot about coming back to that present moment and being mindful. But the reason I talk about that all the time is because it really does help us to regulate our emotions and makes us happier overall. But the last two are the number one and number two things that definitely increase our happiness. And they're back to basics. They're exercise and our sleep patterns. So things like getting enough exercise or just increasing that a little bit has big dramatic effects on how we feel overall, as well as getting good sleep. Now, I know because we've been on distance learning that a lot of our sleep patterns have changed a bit. People are going to bed later, staying up longer, and maybe sleeping in the morning, but making sure that we're getting good amounts of sleep is a good one to be conscious of. So these are the things I want you to discuss with your families this week. What we thought makes us happy and what really does, and ways that we can increase any one of those things that really genuinely boost our moods for the long term. Our connections, our kindness, how we use our time, our ability to be present in the moment, exercise, and sleep. So go ahead and make lots of those things be your conversations. Maybe you do it every night this week and talk about a different one. But I love to see families engaged in this. And if you have any questions, reach out. I'm happy to respond through email or give you a call. Bye, guys.